Hey everybody, it's Becky. How are you guys today? I do not like the angle on this. How are you guys? So we are gonna work on our shoulders and our chest today, kind of opening this up. I know I've spent the last week doing a lot of reading and a lot of typing and kind of caving the shoulders forward. So we're gonna spend the next few moments opening up those shoulders. For this flow, you'll probably want a strap of some sort. Again, if you don't have a strap at home, that is fine. Go ahead and grab a scarf or a belt or maybe a beach towel. Depending on how far away the ground gets at times for you, you might want a block or maybe a big book. And then for today, we're going to use a blanket. This is a traditional yoga blanket, but a regular throw would work, or maybe even a big beach towel. What we're going to do with our blankets is roll them up like so and create little bolsters for us to use just to get a little bit more back opening. Maybe grab a drink of water and let's go ahead and get started. So coming into Sukhasana, heels in line with the groin, bringing the hands to the knees, start to rock side to side, feeling those sit bones connect with the ground below you. Bringing the shoulders up to the ears, waterfalling the shoulder blades down the back. And start to imagine there's a string on the top of your head pulling you just a little bit taller. If it feels safe, close the eyes. If it doesn't feel safe, lower the gaze down to the ground. Taking the next few moments, focusing on the breath, start to notice how it feels to breathe today. Noticing where the air wants to go, where the air doesn't want to go. Noticing if it's starting to get caught somewhere on the inhale or exhale. It's been kind of a stressful week for us here in Washington. So let's open this practice with 3 cleansing breaths, breathing in through the nose, and then exhale, stick out the tongue and force the air out like you're fogging up a mirror, starting to release some of that stagnation, some of that angst, some of those worries that have kind of built up. So we're going to do 3 together. Inhale in through the nose and exhale like you mean it. 2 more. Last one here. And start to let the lungs fill up effortlessly. Noticing where the breath goes now. Breathing in slowly for 5. And exhaling slowly for 7. 2 more, just like that. Inhale for 5. Exhale for 7. Bringing the hands to Anjali Heart Center, press the thumbs into the sternum. Take just a moment to set a sankalpa or an intent for today's practice. Exhale, release the hands to the knees, drop the chin to the chest. Inhale the ear to one shoulder. Exhale, chin to chest. Inhale, ear to opposite shoulder. Exhale, chin to chest. Continue with this. Let your breath start to carry you. And when the ear finds one shoulder, go ahead and leave it there. Remember, we're bringing the ear down towards the shoulder, not the shoulder up towards the ears. Walk your opposite arm away from your body, lengthening the scalenes, and breathe in here. If you need a little deeper stretch, maybe bring your free hand up and over, maybe not. And then walk the hand behind the body just a little bit more. And inhale back to center, switching sides, drawing the ear towards the opposite shoulder. Walk the arm away from the body. Checking in here, potentially bringing the free hand up and over. And walking the hand behind the body just a little bit more. Inhale, lift up. We're going to bring that thumb up towards the ceiling. And then exhale, bring it right between the shoulder blades any way that it gets there. Dropping the ear to the opposite shoulder, really starting to push that shoulder blade down the back. Breathe in here, lengthen, lengthen. Exhale, release. We're going to switch sides. Inhale the thumb up. Exhale, bring the thumb right between the shoulder blades any way that it gets there. Drop the ear to the opposite shoulder. Inhale, lift up, come back to center. We're going to interlace the fingers. Push the palms away from us at shoulder height. Roll the shoulder blades down the back and hold here for 3 deep breaths. And then round the back, get into the tops of the shoulders here. Breathing in here for 3 deep breaths. Coming back to a neutral spine, lift the arms up overhead, rolling the shoulder blades down the back, pushing the palms away as you pull the shoulder blades down. Breathe, breathe, breathe. And then keeping both sit bones connected to the ground, lean to the side, lifting and lengthening through the armpit. Coming back to center, switching sides, keep the sit bones connected, lift up, lengthen through the armpit, breathe in here. Coming back to center, release the arms down to the legs. We're going to come into some seated cat-cows, getting that spine nice and warmed up for today's flow. So rounding the back, looking down at the belly for cat, and then sinking the belly out, tipping the head up, cow. Let the breath start to carry you, really arching back for that angry cat shape, and spreading the collarbones out, opening up that heart space for cow. 2 more. Last one here. And then coming back to a neutral spine, we're going to bring the arms out into gold post arms. Bringing the arms down towards the floor, we're going to round the shoulders forward, pull the shoulders towards each other as you widen the back. And then inhale, lift up, open up the collarbones, arch the back slightly, spreading the chest muscles, spreading the collarbones. Doing 5 more, letting your breath carry you, really getting into the tops of those shoulders here. Last one. And up. Coming back to center, rolling out the shoulder blades. Noticing how the shoulders are feeling. We're going to roll over our shins and come into tabletop. In tabletop, our knees are roughly hips distance apart. Hips distance is 2 fists put together. Joints are stacked, so wrists are under elbows and elbows are under shoulders. We're going to round the back, look down at the belly for cat, and then sink the belly, tip the head up, cow. 2 more. Last one here. Coming back to a neutral spine, we're going to draw the shoulder back towards the hip, look back for a tail, lengthen through the side body. Coming back to center, opposite side. Coming back to center. We're going to bring the shins out as wide as the mat. And then we're going to bring the forearms down onto the ground. With the pinkies lined up with the wide edge of the mat, the hips are going to go high, the head's going to go low, coming into puppy. If puppy is not giving you the stretch that you were hoping for, straighten the arms out, extend them out towards the top of the mat. Bring the chin onto the mat, bring the drishti between the thumbs, and bring those hips back just a little bit, stacking them over the knees. Breathe in here. 5 deep breaths. And then bringing the hands together in prayer, bring the hands behind the occipital, spreading the elbows out nice and wide, starting to get into the tops of the shoulder muscles, into the traps. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Exhale, release the hands down to the mat, coming onto the belly. Walk the legs back behind you. We're going to bring the hands down right underneath the shoulders and then bring them out, resting those spidey fingers on the ground. Point the toes towards each other, the heels point out. Ground down into the tops of the feet and into the tops of the hips. Lift the elbows up towards the ceiling. Inhale, lifting the heart space. Modified Bhujangasana, Cobra, starting to warm up that low back. Exhale, release, lower down. 2 more, just like that. Inhale, lift. Can you lift your hands here? That's one way you know that you're using your back muscles and not your arm muscles. Exhale, lower down. Last one. Inhale, lift up. Maybe lift a little higher. Exhale, lower down. We're going to creepy crawl with one arm away from the body. Use the spidey fingers to hang on to the floor. That's going to activate the muscles and tendons just a little differently for you. We're going to bend the arm at the elbow, hanging onto the floor, rolling onto your side. You're going to take the top foot and try to step back as far as you can. This is going to give you a beautiful stretch in your shoulder and start to wake up that hip flexor. Loosening the tension in the hip flexors goes a long ways to releasing a low back. Breathe in here, 2 more breaths. Coming back onto the abdomen, we're going to switch sides, walk the hands away from the body, bend the arm at the elbow, hanging onto the floor with the spidey fingers, rolling up onto your side, finding that stretch, and then taking your top leg back behind you, opening up the hip flexors. Breathe in here. Coming back onto the abdomen, we're going to interlace the fingers behind the back. Roll those shoulder blades down the back, keeping the tops of the feet and the hips grounded. Inhale, lift the heart space, lift the shoulders. Breathe in. Exhale, release the hands, placing one cheek on the ground. Release the shoulders, find your stretch. Inhale, bring the hands back behind the low back, interlace the fingers. Inhale, lift up, lift the heart space, lift the arms. Just warming up the low back, starting to warm up the shoulders. Exhale, release, bring the hands right underneath the shoulders, hug those elbows in. Staying on the knees, push up, low plank, turn the toes under, float the hips up, downward facing dog. So in downward facing dog, we're going to put a big bend in the knees, lift those hips up even higher, and slowly start to lower the heels down. Pushing the knuckles into the floor, putting most of the weight into the index finger, thumb, and across that knuckle ridge. Starting to pedal out the feet. Notice how the hamstrings are feeling. Notice how the low back feels. How do the shoulders feel? If your shoulders are screaming at you right now, I invite you to shift the weight back towards your feet and take 2 more deep breaths. And walking the feet up to meet the hands, hinge at the waist, fold forward. Maybe you grab your block here, maybe you grab your book, or maybe the hands just fall on the ground effortlessly. Depends on what your body needs today. Release all the tension in the neck. Breathe, breathe, breathe. We're going to interlace the fingers, bring the fingers behind the occipital, add just a little bit of pressure here, letting that head get heavy as the hips get a little higher, lengthening the low back, lengthening the hamstrings. Exhale, release the hands. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. The weight's in the heels, lengthening through the crown of the head and out through the sit bones. Once again, the hands can come to a block. Exhale, forward fold. We're going to plant one hand onto the floor. Bend the same knee as the hand you just planted and float the opposite arm up towards the ceiling. Breathing in here. Exhale, release, switching sides, plant the hand, bend the knee, float the opposite arm up towards the ceiling. Hello, hamstrings. Exhale, release. We're going to inhale, circle, sweep the arms up overhead, upward salute. Bring the hands together, taking that Kali Mudra. That mudra of transformation also looks a lot like Charlie's Angels here. Bring the hands up overhead, roll the shoulder blades down the back, and then lead with the fingers, lift up and lean back just a little bit, opening that heart space, getting some range of motion in the back. Inhale, back to center, reaching for one wrist, lean to the side. See if you can keep the hips kind of level here. It might feel good to rotate that heart space open towards the ceiling. Inhale, back to center, switching sides, reaching for the opposite wrist, lift up, exhale, lean. And it might feel good to open up that heart space. Inhale, lift up, bringing the hands down to Anjali Heart Center, standing at the top of the mat into Tadasana or Samastatihi. You're going to step back with one foot, doesn't matter which. Parallel that foot to the back of the mat. Looking at that front knee, put a small bend in the front knee and make sure that your knee is aligned with your middle 2 toes, not coming in, not going over, and definitely not so far forward you can't see your big toe. That's how we keep our joints safe in yoga. Start to pronate that back foot, adding a little bit of pressure to the pinky edge foot. And open the arms up. In yoga, where the arms go, the hips go. So my hips are open to the wide edge of the mat, and so are my arms. Breathing in here. We're going to flip our palms, straighten the front leg, gather up all the goodness that is available to us up here. Exhale, sink the hands down to Anjali Heart Center while bending that front knee, sealing in all that beauty. We're going to do that 2 more. Exhale, open up, warrior 2. Inhale, flip the palms, straighten, receptive warrior. Exhale, seal it all in, sink back down. Last one here, open up, warrior 2. Flip the palms, gather the goodness, be intentional here. And seal it in, pause. We're going to interlace the fingers behind the back, push the knuckles away from the body, Hinge at the waist, fold forward, bring the hands with you, humble warrior. Inhale, lift up, Virabhadrasana 2. Bring the hands to the hips, parallel both feet. You're going to add weight to the pinky edge of the feet. Hinge at the waist, fold forward. Hands come down to the block or to the floor. Once you're here, sink the weight back into the heels and let your head get super heavy. In these forward folds, I often like to envision my stresses and my worries and my have-to-dos and my should-dos and all of those other things. I like to envision them flowing out of my head, making space for creativity and more time and flexibility and all of those things that actually serve me instead of those things that hinder me. Bringing the peace fingers to the big toes. Inhale, lift up halfway for an activated halfway lift. Again, the weight is in the heels. Glutes are sticking out behind you. Breathe in here. Exhale, release. We're going to plant one hand directly underneath the shoulder. Float the opposite arm up towards the ceiling. 3 deep breaths. Switching sides, plant the hand underneath the shoulder. Float the arm up towards the ceiling. Breathe in here. Exhale, release. We're going to walk both hands over to the right. And we're going to hang on to the ankle, the shin, the side of the foot with the left hand as we float the right hand up towards the ceiling. Sinking the weights back into the heels, really lengthening through the side body, lengthening through the shoulders. Find your space here. Exhale, release. We're going to walk the hands to the left, hanging onto the ankle, the shin, the side of the foot, with the right hand floating the left hand up towards the ceiling. Breathe in here, lengthen and create space. Exhale, release. We're going to walk the hands back to center. Bring the hands up to the hips. Lift up, flat back. This foot that's at the top of your mat is going to stay parallel to the front of your mat. Pivot on the heel, opening up. Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. Opposite leg. Breathe in here. Flipping the palms over, straighten the front leg. Gather up all that goodness. Receptive warrior. Exhale, seal it in. Open up, Virabhadrasana 2. 2 more. Flip the palms. Be intentional here. Gather up what you need. What do you need more of? Seal it in. Last one. Flip, lift, seal. Virabhadrasana 2. Interlace the fingers behind the back. Roll the shoulder blades down the back. Hinge at the waist. Fold forward. Humble warrior. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Inhale, lift up, Virabhadrasana 2. We're going to bring the hands to the hips, parallel the feet. Interlace the fingers behind the back. Roll the shoulder blades down the back. Expand those collarbones. Hinge at the waist, fold forward, getting into the hamstrings, the low back, and the shoulders all at once. Nice. We're going to stay here for 5 deep breaths. As the shoulders and hamstrings start to release, go ahead and fold just a little bit deeper. Always listening to the body. The body is the boss. And exhale, release the hands down to the mat. Bring the hands to the hips, lift up, flat back. Heel toe the feet back together and shake it out. We're going to ground down all 4 corners of our yogi foot. So your 4 corners would be your big toe joint, your pinky toe joint, and both sides of the heels. We're going to spread out those beautiful yogi toes. Finding a drishti 3 to 4 feet ahead of you, right about the horizon line, or 3 to 4 feet in front of you on the floor. You're going to bend one knee and reach back for the foot. Maybe flip the grip so that your hand's hanging onto the big toe side of your foot. Maybe not. Totally up to you. There's a soft bend in your supporting leg, but the knee is not locked out, but we definitely don't have a deep bend here. So just a nice soft bend so we don't faint. And starting to push the foot into the hand as you grow a counterbalance, dancer's pose. And notice, how do the hamstrings feel? How does the shoulder feel? Getting a little deeper with each breath. Exhale, release. When you're ready, shake it out. And of course, if we do one side, then we have to do the other. So taking a moment here, come back to the breath, feeling it, breathe through the body, move through the body here. We're going to ground down all 4 corners of the feet, spread out those beautiful yogi toes. Once again, find your drishti, your focal point. You're going to reach back for your foot. Maybe flip the grip to the big toe side of the foot. And slowly start to push the foot into the hand, coming into dancer pose. And it's windy. Because that's what happens whenever we do balancing poses. It gets windy inside. And when you're ready, come on out, shake it out. Maybe grab a drink of water here. So coming to Tadasana at the top of the mat, mountain pose, rolling the shoulder blades down the back. Inhale, lift up, upward salute. Exhale, bring the hands down to Anjali Heart Center, bend the knees, sink the hips back, chair pose. Flat back here. Look down, can you see your big toes? Hold here, nice and strong. And starting to come into rocking chair perhaps. And smiling because we love this, it's freaking amazing. Sink down just a little lower. Inhale, lift up, upward salute. Exhale, hinge at the waist, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Put a big bend in the knees. Place the belly onto the thighs. Wrap the arms behind the thighs. Let your head get heavy here. Slowly start to straighten the legs as you keep the belly in contact with the thighs for an activated forward fold. Hello, hamstrings. Hello, back. Exhale, release the hands down to the mat. We're going to lift the toes, plant the hands underneath the feet. The big toes line up with the wrist crease. We're going to let that head get heavy, relax all the tension out of the neck, and slowly start to straighten the legs for a grounding pose. Lengthening the hamstrings, coming into the now. Exhale, release the feet, roll up vertebrae by vertebrae, coming to stand. We're going to go ahead and come into a seated position. You're welcome to find your sit bones any way that works for you. I'm going to suggest bringing the feet together, coming up onto the balls of the feet, bending the knees, sinking the hips down to meet the heels, and breathing in here in a toe balancing pose. Remember, this is just for fun. Whether you can do a pose or not has nothing to do with your self-worth, how beautiful you are, or what a great yogi you are. The fact that you showed up on your mat today says everything you need to know about yourself. We're going to come down onto the sit bones. Extend both legs out in front, flexing the feet. Maybe pull the flesh away from the sit bones. Lift up super tall here. Exhale, hinge at the waist, fold forward. Breathe in. Hello, hamstrings. Feeling that low back start to relax. Putting a little smile on your face, creating space in the soul, in the body. Breathing in. Inhale, lift up. We're going to bring the soles of the feet together. Open up the feet like we're reading a book. Lift up through the spine, hinge at the waist, full forward, Baddha Konasana pose. Pulling the navel back towards the spine. Inhale, lift up, flat back. We're going to extend both legs out in front, so I'm going to go on a diagonal so you can maybe see me here. Planting one foot by the inner thigh. We're going to bring that knee as close to the midline as possible, and our extended foot is flexed and leading with the heel, pulling the toes back towards the face. We're going to start this as a 3-part twist by inhaling, lifting up, exhaling, twisting towards the knee, hanging onto the knee, and letting that drishti follow that back shoulder as you roll the shoulder blade down your back. Breathe in here and notice how this feels. Coming back to center, keeping the legs just like they are. If that pose felt like your edge, please stay there. If you would like to take this pose just a little deeper, lift up through the spine. Twist towards your knee, lock the elbow on the outer edge of the knee, and come into half Lord of the Fishes. Drishti follows that back shoulder. Back is nice and straight. Breathe in here. And then coming back to center. If that wasn't your edge, then maybe take this just a little bit deeper. So you're welcome to stay with either the first 2 twists, or you're going to take your bicep and place it onto your knee. Wrap the arms around the knee and start to lift up, taking the half bind. Opening up the chest, opening up the shoulders, sitting up nice and straight here. No matter what your peak pose is right now, you're going to come into that pose and hold it for the next 4 breaths. Inhale, lift up. We're going to switch sides. Bending the knee, flexing the opposite foot, leading with the heel, pulling the toes back towards the face. Same exact process. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, twist towards the knee. Drishti follows that back shoulder. Breathe in here. Inhale, back to center. Maybe you stay with one of those, or maybe you inhale, lift up, exhale, twist towards the knee, lock the elbow on the outer knee, coming into half Lord of the Fishes. And exhale, release. Now, keeping in mind that your 2 sides are not twin sisters, they're not really even sisters, they're more like cousins, you might be able to take the full bind on one side and not on the other, and vice versa. Welcome to being human. It's perfectly normal. There's nothing wrong with your body. So just noticing the difference here, taking the bind. I did that backwards. Taking the bind. Opening that chest up if that calls to you, and breathe in here. I don't know about you guys, but my shoulders and my back are already starting to feel so much better. I would love to hear what your experiences are. I'm just not capable of teaching and reading comments at the same time. Inhale, lift up, shake it out. How you guys feeling? We're going to go ahead and come down onto our back. So coming onto our backs, you're going to want your strap handy. And you're going to want that little roll, that burrito we made earlier in the video. So we're going to start by finding our abs, just like I promised. So coming down vertebrae by vertebrae, releasing down onto the mat. You're going to take your hands and make a triangle shape and bring that triangle right underneath the sacrum. From here, we're going to contract the abs, lift the legs up overhead. We're going to start with 7 hip raises. So you're going to contract the abs, lift the legs, and then lower down, slow and controlled. That negative resistance is just as important as the thrust to lift up. Working those low abs, those deep core muscles, Yes, it's a hard move, but the cool thing is you can do hard things. Last one. And keeping the hands just where they are, we're going to open and shut the legs 3 times. Flex the feet, lower one heel down halfway and hold. Inhale the foot up to center, switching sides. Inhale, lift up. One more each way. Last one here. Inhale, lift up, hugging the knees to the chest. Make yourself into a small ball. We're going to reach for our straps and bring the strap under the arch of one foot. Lifting that foot up towards the ceiling. Start to lead with the heel here. Maybe take your supporting leg and leave it bent, or if it feels right, straightening that leg. Breathe in here. And opening the leg out to the side. And bringing the foot back to center, transfer the strap into the opposite hand, cross the foot across the midline, IT band stretch. Breathe in here. Inhale, back to center. We're going to switch sides, bringing the strap under the arch of the opposite foot. Lift that foot up towards the ceiling. Lead with the heel. Breathe in here. And opening that leg out to the side, getting into the hips here. Lead with the heel. Coming back to center, transfer the strap into the opposite hand, cross the foot across the midline. And coming back to center. We're going to bend both knees, release the strap, open the arms up wide like a T. Inhale the knees up to the chest. Exhale, twist to one side, dropping the knees down right about belly button level. We're going to take this back shoulder here and start to let it relax down into the mat, onto the floor, loosening up that low back, releasing any tension that it might have in it. Breathe, breathe, breathe. And then inhale the knees back to center. Exhale, twist opposite side. Letting that back shoulder release down to the ground. Inhale the knees back to center, making yourself into a small ball. Start to rock up and down your mat 2, 3, 4 times, eventually coming to a seated position. We're going to grab the blanket. I'm bringing it about a third of the way down the mat widthwise. So I'm going to bring this blanket to right here, right across the shoulder blades, supporting the upper back. My knees are bent, the soles of the feet are on the ground, and I'm going to lay back, bringing the top of my head down onto the ground. I like to open my arms up into cactus arms here, getting kind of a little bit of a better chest stretch. Maybe you hang out just like this. This feels delicious. Maybe you intensify this a little bit more by straightening the legs. Either way, we're going to lay here for 10 deep breaths, letting the chest open and relax. bend the knees, plant the soles of the feet onto the ground, release the neck. You're going to roll over onto the side. Use your arms, not the neck or back, to push yourself back up. From here, we're going to come into our final resting pose. So grabbing the blanket and bringing it lengthwise down the mat. This roll is going to line up directly with my spine. So bringing the roll to the edge of my hips, bring the soles of the feet together, opening up the hips, coming back down onto the blanket, and then opening the arms up wide like a T, letting those shoulder blades drape down across your blanket roll, letting the spine open up, letting the chest open up, staying here, breathing, breathing. And know that you are welcome to stay in this pose for just as long as your body would like today. But in the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and log off. But I thank you guys so very much for joining me on this Facebook Live. Bringing the hands together at Anjali Heart Center. I am so grateful for this opportunity. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste. And just a quick reminder, we are open tonight. So Erica will be at the studio ready to teach 6 o'clock Yoga TRX and 7 o'clock Heated Yen. Go get your butt in the studio. It's going to be warm. There's tea. There's washcloths. We are like ready for you. And everything is set for Saturday. I will see you at my Mindset and Movement. And have a great, great snow day. And hopefully if you had to go to work, you got there safely. I will talk to you later. Bye.